Well, welcome back to Let's Play Katawa Shoujo. I was just wondering what sort of work you were having so much trouble with. This kind of rag gets to the point right away, isn't it? Oh, it's just history. I'm fine with science and math, so I'm trying to get my other subjects up to par. Yuko looks positively delighted at this development. I feel like I just chose the right answer on some big quiz show. Oh, I think I can help you with that. If you don't mind, of course. I briefly considered turning down the offer in order to not cause her too much trouble, but she looks too excited about this for me to do it. It would be mean to shoot her down like that, after such a reaction. So I guess she must be studying history then, or something. If you're willing to help, I'd really appreciate it. She claps her hands together and quickly deposits her towel on the counter, before returning and taking a seat across from me. I take my notebook off the top of the textbook and hand it over for her to peruse. So you're studying the Edo period? Yeah, I'm not really much good at this, though. Now am I. I mean, that contradicts what I said in the previous part. But I don't know much about Japanese history, man. She takes the textbook and reads a few pages from a random section near the middle for a bit, but the aura of enthusiasm she'd been radiating previously is rapidly slipping away. I'm guessing this isn't the kind of history we're expecting. Unfortunately not. My main area is European history, especially in the classical era. Sorry, just like me then. Well, I don't really know a ton of history, but I do find history interesting, essentially. Well, I suppose, well, I'm from the UK, so of course, European history and the history of Britain and all that be more up my alley rather than Japanese history. But she's like, this is supposed to be Japan, right? And even she's like, oh, sorry, more into know about European history than Japanese. She looks a bit downcast, but as she carefully closes the book and lays it back down on the table, her face perks up again. Would you like another cup of coffee? Oh, yeah, sure. I reach forward and get my book back as Yuko gets up, takes my mug, and slowly walks to the counter to take another brew. As usual, she's absolutely silent as she does this. Every ounce of her concentration is focused on not tripping over or dropping the plain white mug. I take the opportunity to lay back and relax for a bit, the hum of the coffee machine filing the otherwise quiet air. It's small details like this that make me realize how much I've come to appreciate the little things in life. The peace and quiet of the local town, the discipline and order of Yamako, the green of the trees that were so rare in my home city, the relaxed pace at which the aging residents live their lives. Everything feels so certain. It's comforting. I can feel myself begin to nod off when the sound of the mug coming to rest on the table grabs my attention. Seems like it arrived not a moment too soon. Yuko takes her previous seat once again as I pick myself up and bring a hand around the mug to check its temperature. It's just a little too hot to drink right away, so I blow on it a little. It's a shame you don't like history all that much. I sort of guess you might be more into science. How so? You've nearly read out the science fiction section of the library already. It wasn't hard to notice. You do have a good point there. Well, what can I say? You've pegged me just about right. I'm a scientist, and I have no... actually, that wouldn't make sense. It's like, I'm more into science, so I disregard history. Without history, there would be way back in science. Because isn't science usually built around, like, what other people have built upon, and you just expand on it? You don't just be like, oh yes, I've got this idea that just came to me, epiphany moment, right? Without any knowledge of any history of, like, science or anything. Just an epiphany moment, right? And I came up with this theory, and then it becomes like a fact later on. It's just brilliant, and I didn't even have any previous history knowledge in this field or something. I don't know. Wouldn't make sense, would it? That would totally be a genius, though, wouldn't it? It's just like, what? No prior knowledge, and you figured that shit out? You sound like you really take an interest in history, though, especially considering how specific you are about it. Do you study in that area or something? Go on digs overseas? She giggles nervously at the thought. Well, just because she's into history doesn't mean there's archaeology and all that. Well, actually, that's the confusing thing. Archaeology is more like, oh man, I don't know, man. I'm not. I mean, I used to kind of find it interesting, you know, just like all this stuff and all that, but I don't really know a lot about it. You got like paleontology, archaeology, stuff like that, different fields, but they have a similar kind of thing going on, sort of. I mean, it's all to do with the past, but the different fields shows how it's just like, I don't know. She googles nervously at the thought. I'd like to visit the Mediterranean. Stumbling over my words. I know how to pronounce this. I know it's pronounced, but Mediterranean sometime and see the old architecture and art for myself. But I don't think I could trust myself to handle such delicate things. Ah, yeah, she's a bit of a klutz, isn't she? I'm saving up to formally study at the university, although I also read up on it whenever I have free time outside of work. So Miku is right about her university aspirations. Considering how she fares as a waitress, a more theoretical path may suit Yuko better. It's nice to hear that she has some ambitions though, considering how hard she works. I nod and take a careful sip of my coffee. By now it's cool to the right temperature, so I begin to drink while keeping an eye on the book below, trying to read at the same time. 3 minutes pass quietly, Yuko looking out the window and watching the world go by while I have my coffee and study. The movement catches my eye, and I look up to see Yuko smiling and waving to someone outside. Following her gaze, surprisingly reveals that's someone to be Hanako. She's looking at us from the side of the street across from where we are. Her usually all too visible timidity is largely absent, probably thanks to there being so few people around right now. Evidently, she decides to join us, as after a little wave, she gives a quick glance up and down the street and crosses towards the side that the cafe is on. The familiar doorbell to the Shanghai rings out as Hanako enters and makes her way to the table we're sitting at. Hello. Good afternoon. Hi, Hanako. What's up? Nothing, just going for a walk since the weather was nice. Yeah, I get what you mean. I'm glad I decided to study here instead of the library. It's comfortable in here thanks to that. Rather than the sometimes quite stuffy library, I look to Yuko, who nods in response. It's nice, it's just a shame that summer can't last forever. Oh wait, sorry, would you like a drink? Hanako shakes her head. Thankfully, it's enough to calm Yuko back down. How are you going with studying? Okay, ish. Oh yeah, have you talked with Lily? I'm interested too. How is she doing? She's enjoying it, I think. I think that's all we're going to get out of her. Being around Yuko is tensing her up. It would be so nice to travel to Scotland. Green fields, castles, lovely small towns, men in kilts, interesting history. I can't say I see the appeal of men in kilts myself. It does seem like a picturesque place, though. Never been to Scotland. My sister has, and my sister has a somewhat obsession with Scotland. Apparently, when she went to Scotland, she went full-on tourist mode. You know, just like, gotta take a picture of everything, gotta see everything. To be fair, my brother did the same when he went to Orlando a while back. Just like, gotta take a picture of everything because he went to Disneyland. I don't know if I've ever gone full-on tourist mode before in my life, honestly. I read that. As we talk, the jingle of the doorbell rings again. Hanako is startled, noticing... Again, when I read so freaking fast. Without pause, I mean, really now. As we talk, the jingle of the doorbell rings again. Hanako is startled, noticing Yuko's panicked expression at the prospect that she might leave customers to wait a handful of seconds due to her chatter with us. Yuko gives us a quick bow, then hastily skitters over and greets the new customers. You know, I was just thinking, when she was like on about Scotland, it's like all this and that and that. I don't remember, like, it was only maybe 1 or 2 years ago where I was like, had like a kind of interest in castles quite a bit. It was like, okay, let's go to this castle and this one and this one. I've only seen a few castles, But I've gone to quite a few. The most interesting one that I couldn't even see all of it because it was like the most complete castle in Wales. What was it called again? Caerphilly Castle, yeah, that was its name. Try to spell that, Caerphilly. That's the thing with Welsh names. Well, names in general really for places, it just has that kind of thing to it. It's just like, Caerphilly, how would you spell that? I can't even think of it on the spot right now, but it's not how it's pronounced, that's for damn sure. It's just... But anyways, that castle essentially, when I went there, I was like freaking exhausted climbing up those long stairs because it was an actual legit complete castle from, I don't know how old it was, like hundreds of years old, obviously. And the reason that apparently it was mostly still intact is because when it was being invaded, they surrendered because they were like, don't destroy the castle, and like, you know, usual cases like, we will fight even if our castle is destroyed. So there are a lot of castles around, you know, that are only like partially, you know, standing essentially. Some castles even buried, some castles are no longer there, aside from small parts of it. But Caerphilly is mostly intact. There's like one tower that's kind of a bit damaged, and really there's not much, a lot of it's like intact really. Very interesting, but I didn't get to explore the whole castle. Because it's just too big. And my anxiety started to act up eventually anyway, so it's like, yeah, let's just go. That's the annoying thing about anxiety for me. When it acts up, it's just like, well, no, can't freaking do anything right here, gotta go. It's horrible. But anyways, Yuka gives us a quick bow and hastily skitters over and greets the new customers, an elderly man and his wife. I watch her for a bit, craning my head around to get a good view. Of course! I rarely freaking, you know, use Skype, and some of you viewers maybe use Skype and just be like, oh, it's my Skype. It's like, nope, it's in the video. Just like, decided to Skype because I'm just like, why the hell not? It's been a while, and of course, I only get a message while I'm recording. A moment. Yeah, I guess I'll just like stop the recording here and get back to it later on, I suppose, because it's not enough for one part. It's like Hanako staring at me with her invisible eye. It's like, what? You're just gonna leave it like that? That can't be a part. Well, of course not. I will be back recording this maybe later today, I suppose. Whatever. So, yeah. I guess I'll be right back, sort of. And I'm back after a couple of hours there. But anyways, where were we? She averts her head in embarrassment, so I turn to make eye contact. I was just thinking that it's nice to have ambitions for the future. Yuko was telling me a little about her university aspirations before. Oh. It's a shame if she wasn't so neurotic and overworked. I think she could be a really happy person. As much as I like to play host to Hanako and entertain her a bit, I do need to study as well. To be honest, I don't think the distraction from Yuko helped either. Sorry if I'm a bit distracted. I need to try and get this done, otherwise I'm going to flunk the history exams pretty hard. I'm left running my hand through my hair in frustration. That electro needs doing as well once I get back to my dormitory room. I hope I have more luck with that than this. Damn. What with? Oh, I was going to write to Hanako. Right now, though, this is more important. All I've done is write myself. I can't focus on the work in front of me when my stomach is slowly turning at the prospect of actually attempting to write her back after all this time. I force myself to concentrate on the book, picking up my pen once I have a quick sip of coffee. After a few seconds, Hanako stops silently watching me and leans back in her seat, relaxing as much as she ever seems to be able to, looking out the window to pass the time. We stay like this for a long time before leaving for the dormitories together. I'm surprised she had the patience to wait me out. Hanako's letter lies on my desk beside a blank sheet of lined paper and an unused envelope. The tapping of my pen is the only thing to be heard this late at night.
As I feared, my second task for the day turns out to be just as difficult as the first, if not harder. It's been so many months since we saw each other. Well, even saw each other. Even so, I can still remember what she looked like. Except for her face, because we never got to see her face. What she sounded like, and what she acted like. By now, though, the little details are beginning to slip away. When I first saw her letter... What was that? A moment.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. Probably freaking Skype being like, hey, signing out because freaking internet connection's rubbish. But anyways, when I first saw her letter, I barely recognized her handwriting at all. Even the pink pen she always used was forgotten until her writing reminded me of it. I wonder why she didn't use it for the letter. She used to write everything with it. Maybe she thinks it's too immature now. I should be thinking about myself and about what I was to communicate to her. My mind can't stop concentrating on her, though. On the past we shared before it was taken away so suddenly. The bright and slightly garish decorations suit her sense of aesthetics. Taking up the letter to take a close look at it, I give a long sigh. This is the last link binding me to the past. Hanako didn't suddenly cease to exist when she left my hospital room for the last time, but I need this letter to remind me of that. No, I'm just gonna sign out of freaking Skype because it's probably gonna do that a lot, I imagine. Okay. Yeah, I think I read that. I had all those feelings neatly filed away. I felt as if I didn't need them, that I could just begin life completely anew. It was easier that way. In the end, I suppose that was a rather naive thing to think. Sooner or later, my past would have caught up with me one way or the other. But what am I supposed to say to her? Thank you for bringing me closure. All the letter did was end the sense of closure I had previously felt. Try as I might, I can't write so much as a single word down on the paper in front of me. I can't even think of what exactly I want to say. Putting the letter down on top of the blank sheet, I gather the materials together and file them away in my drawer. The clunk the desk makes as I close it makes me momentarily tense in frustration before I get up to go grab a drink from the vending machine on the first floor. I tried, but I couldn't do it. After all the time that's passed, I still don't know how to deal with Hanako. The library, while not humming with activity, is noticeably more busy than usual. Exams are not far away, and that's reflected in the number of students burying their noses in textbooks at the tables around us. I've been studying quite a lot in the past few days, just like them, in hoping of doing well in the exams. This also means that Hanako and I have been playing games less, so she's begun studying as well, just to fill in the time. Nevertheless, I found myself forsaken by her on this particular day. The textbook in front of me has remained on the same page for some time. After so much reading on subjects I couldn't care less about if not for the exams, my mind is beginning to wander. I find my eyes flickering over to where Hanako would usually be, just like on the day she wasn't in class. Her usual beanbag in the corner of the room is conspicuously unoccupied. It was here that we first finally met. I tried to start a conversation with her, she got skittish, and eventually bolted from the room altogether. I probably shouldn't smile about it, but it was kind of amusing, in hindsight. Nowadays, it's more and more difficult to imagine her doing such a thing. Even with Lily gone, she's been doing well now that she's come out of her room. I want to talk with her, or at least play another game of chess. I'm tired of studying, and it's been a few days since we've really done anything together. The question of where to find Hanako isn't a particularly difficult one. If she's not in the library, chances are that she's either in the tea room or for some peace and quiet or in her dormitory room. Deciding to check them in that order, I pack up my books and make my way out of the library. I stretch and... oh, the music stops, and give a loud groan as I walk down the hallway. Studying may be frustrating at times, but with the progress I feel I've made, there's also some sense of pride in getting it done. It's a good feeling. There isn't a sound to be heard from inside as I stand in front of the door to Hanako's room. Yes, that isn't very indicative of whether she's inside or not, given how quiet she usually is. Actually, what's this scene called? His past? So, by that, it sounds like it's hinting that this scene will probably resolve around Hisao talking about his past a bit, I suppose. Still, she wasn't in the tea room. I try knocking, likely to make my presence known. I'm surprised when I find the door unlocked and yielding at my touch. With a small creak, the door opens. It looks like my suspicions were correct. Hanako is indeed here. She's sitting at a table with an open book in front of her, but pays it no heed as she keeps looking out the window. She looks utterly oblivious to my presence. With her head thoughtfully resting on her hand, she looks calm and collected. It's a shame she can't look like this more often. Smiling a little, I walk up to the table and softly speak to her. "Good evening, Hanako." Hanako's head turns a little to see me, but she's still only half there. I put a hand on the table and lower my head to better look at her face, mildly curious about what mood she's in. "What's up?" She gasps a little, finally acknowledging my presence in the room for the first time. Hanako's blushing really heavily. Her mouth is open just a little, as if paused mid-sentence. Most strikingly, though, is what she's doing. Oh? She's looking directly at me. Her eyes are pinned on my own, from such a close distance that I can almost see my reflection in them. They don't turn away, nor move at all. They're absolutely still, just looking into mine. They're dark and give her an almost analytical air. Even when reading on subjects she has no interest in, she would appear to be wrapped in her work to a casual observer. She absorbs information very well, and even now I can feel that. I feel like I'm seeing something behind those eyes that I never saw before. I don't know what it is, though. Well, you only see one of her eyes. Hanako? Her lips move just a little, silently mouthing something. She looks like she's on the verge of saying something, but won't say it. That's the way Hanako always is. On the verge of saying something, but never quite doing it. As I look intently into her eyes, I realize something. Everyone has their own thoughts, things they want to say, their own worldview. But I can't work out what Hanako wants to say, and I can't work out what she's thinking. I never have been able to. It's frustrating. It feels like I don't know her at all, despite all the time we've spent together. Well, you're not exactly gonna know what's on her mind all the time. Even if you know her well enough to know how her mind works, you're not gonna know what's on her mind all the time. Hisao. It's only now that I find myself blushing. I've been looking directly into Hanako's eyes from such a short distance with absolutely no regard for her, and she's been looking into mine without shrinking away. I quickly look away while covering my face with my hand. Hanako does just the same. Another awkward silence reigns. I hate these. At first I accept them as just being a fact of life around Hanako, but now all they feel like is an affirmation of how little we're able to communicate. Some anger makes its way in the complex mixture of emotions I'm experiencing right now. I want to bridge that gap between us. Friends shouldn't have to tiptoe around each other like this. I speak before I can argue myself out of what I'm going to do. My scarring isn't as bad as Hanako's, and I can't possibly compare my life to hers, but I want to show her that she's not alone. Doing this in such a blunt manner might be the only way to get my point across. Wait, does she only, snap at him in the bad ending then? Because I remember that CG. I don't remember the second part of CG, but I remember the first part of it. I'm not sure, really. Well, anyways, doing this in such a blunt manner might be the only way to get my point across. Hanako, I want to show you something. I take a deep breath to prepare myself. This could backfire badly, but I feel as if we've come close enough for this to be okay. I'm not going to strip naked or anything weird. I'm just going to take off my shirt. Her face says it all. What? Hanako's eyes grow to the size of saucers. Her face is an amusing mixture of curiosity and nervousness as she stands. It helps take the edge off my own nervousness at doing this in front of another person. Slowly, with my entire body feeling tense, I unknot my tie and begin to loose the first of the buttons. I'm trying to mentally block out Hanako to make this easier, but it's not really working. As I work my way down, I expect to hear some form of protest from her. She remains silent, though, which just makes this feel even stranger. The last of my shirt unbuttoned, I take a breath and look at her. Hanako's gaze is fixed on my scarring, as expected, and once I nod to say it's okay, she steps forward and tentatively places her hand on the vertical line running down my chest. Ooh. The scarring on her hand, a pattern of damaged skin across its surface, contrasts with a single uniform line which makes up mine. Her hand isn't trembling at all, unlike what I predicted. This is a scar from the surgery that followed my heart attack. Surgeons had to cut open my chest to operate on my heart. I never knew. Hanako's words are calmer and softer than usual. The soft feeling of her fingers moving from my scar to my breast makes me hesitate a little before continuing on. Now, well, yeah, both genders technically would, maybe, I think. I'm crap at biology and all that, but I don't know. I mean, what would you call it anyway, that part of your body if you're a guy? You're the first person to see this since I left the hospital. But why are you showing this to me? I wanted to prove to myself that I could do this. That I could accept my past and move on. I want to show that to you as well. She nods. From her reaction, she seems to know how difficult this is for me. More than anything, the scar represents a visible reminder of my condition. A reminder that I'm not normal anymore. That's something that, until now, I had tried my hardest to ignore. As the minutes tick by, Hanako's gaze lingers. Her eyes look less focused on my scarring than before. The situation feels a bit different than it previously did, and makes me feel slightly uncomfortable. Her hand retreats and I draw my shirt closed and begin to button it up. Her blushing face suddenly returns to its typical tense and timid state as she looks away. The room is completely silent as I fix my shirt and tie, feeling put off after such an unexpectedly intimate moment. So, I guess you're not the only one that's scarred. Hanako smiles a little at the joke, thankfully lightening the atmosphere a bit. Thank you, Hisao. I think I understand. I give a long sigh of relief. I really didn't know how she'd take it. I'm glad everything seems to have worked out as I hoped. Hanako's smile only proves that further. I find the path I want to follow now, and what Hanako needs to do is to find her own. It's something I can't help her with, and it's something that she needs to overcome her past in order to do. Hanako checks her watch. It's getting late by now. Hisao, yeah, I'd better be going. I'll be thankful for some sleep. It's been a long day after all. Good night, Hanako. Good night. I make my way out of her room and into the hallway, remaining silent as I do so. I think both of us have gone through a few emotions today. So, how many scenes are left in this? Well, but the heat of the summertime sun beats down on my sweating brow. Dabbing with a handkerchief doesn't help too much and make me any more comfortable. I'm gonna check, actually. Save here. And go back to main menu. You know what's also been bugging me for quite a while now is this. This right here. I don't know what track it is, but it's the only one that's not unlocked. It must be like an exclusive soundtrack Tyler Lily's or Shizune's route, I imagine. Library. Only 3 scenes left, so maybe maybe it was only the bad ending that shows that. But I'm going to finish this part up with something completely different. A moment. Okay, let's try this again then. I was like doing this recording again because see these glasses, man? Freaking pain in the ass. It really does. It goes down the nose. It's like, no. And I looked weird. I look weird regardless, really, honestly. Just like the facial hair, the long, messy hair. But anyways, since we're going on about scars, and since Hisao's scar is like more of an operation kind of thing, like stitched up and all that. So this right here, I don't know how well it's picking up here, but when I was like, I don't even know how old I was, I can't even remember that far back, thankfully, because this finger apparently, like when I was born, it would bend all the way back, something like that, so I had to like, and as you can see, it still bends a bit forward regardless, it's just like that at all times. But I make it work for a picking hand. I mean, look at that. And of course, a missing finger, of course. It's got entire bone missing. And again, it's born like that. No accident or anything, just born like that. And yet, I can still play keyboard, just like do. Guitar, easy. Well, yeah, guitar for me is easier than keyboards. Well, depends really. You know, like on keyboard when they have those arpeggios, you know, those fast left-hand bits with like it's always a bloody left hand, and look at this. How the fuck am I supposed to do that with a hand like that? This hand, yeah, I could do that, but this hand can't keep like the right hand bit going on, so I have to like, that's why like if you've heard any of my keyboard playing, usually in New Year's videos, you'll notice that the left hand is kind of tends to just go like that, do 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 do, just back and forth between two notes, and then changes do 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 do, while the right hand's like do 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 all over the place. It's just like, okay, simple, more complicated and more melodic kind of stuff going on here. And with guitar, this would be my fret hand because it can move more freely, and this left hand, it's like it's constantly in the freaking pick position anyway, really. It's like I use these two fingers to strum for chords usually, use a pick like that, or I could just use this finger out to pick, or use my thumb. So I kind of use all of them in their own kind of way, but on keyboard, using this finger, the one that has the operation on it, kind of feels uncomfortable pressing down on that. Damn freaking glasses. That's why I don't like appearing on any friggin' webcam or anything since getting my glasses, because I just look weird, especially when they go But anyways, I'll see you next time, viewers. See you next time.